Yep.
was recorded, no pictures,
Yeah.
the whole incident.
Yeah.
And he just got a new smart iPhone.
Right.
He was recording the whole thing. The guy apologized to my son, said, oh, don't worry about it, just walk home. And my son said, you feel it so hard to me that my car didn't run, but I was gonna call the toll. Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, he left. What he did, the guy called the police and said, somebody hit me and ran. He did information like
And with
that.
the evidence, it is a lot better.
And when the police came,
Mm-hmm.
the guy came and the police said, oh, somebody was actually running with that. And my son looked at, oh, my car is damaged, somebody. But he left already. Oh, well, the police didn't say nothing. And what happened is the guy came and there's another police to get him and filed a report. And it was really funny because my nephew got a whole thing.
Yeah.
And the police said, okay, I'm gonna take it from here that it was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
The guy is totally charged with the insurance. And right away, my nephew sent it to the insurance to buy the
Yep.
iPhone. The guy, the whole thing was clear. It was
Yep.
pretty good.
Yep. But it's even better when it's backed up in the cloud. All right. Now the other one is kind of even more interesting because it offers services to end users. In other words, when we're talking about a cloud application, remember how when we talk about a normal application, it has to provide values to an end user. A cloud application is no different. It has to offer some kind of service to end users. Storage by itself is kind of a service, but in this case, when you can write documents and work on spreadsheets and stuff like that in the cloud, that is the kind of service that we are talking about here. And it offers applications, which is kind of implied already by the fact that it offers services. But in this case, when I talk about applications, I'm talking about productivity applications, word processing, spreadsheets, and etc.
Are you saying surface or service?
Service. Yeah, sorry. So here's an example. Google Drive, which is also known as Google Documents, earlier. We just demonstrated that. So let me go back to my Google Drive, and I can show you what I can do with my Google Drive. Okay, so what I can do is I can also have a share with me folder where so these are all the homework assignments that are already submitted. They all appear in my share with me folder. I can also upload any file to my Google Drive. I think that part needs to be paid, so you have to pay Google, I think $10, $20 a year or something like that. But then you can use Google Drive to back up your files. Whatever your file is, as long as you're not using up all your capacity, you can do that. Yep.
I can do that from my phone without paying for it, so it's a free
So,
service.
okay, so it's now a free service.
Yep.
It was not free before, and now it is. Okay, very good. So you can back up, any file, any homework assignment, for your English classes, your history classes, and whatnot. You can just upload it to Google and use it as a backup mechanism, which is very handy, very useful. This is also similar in many ways to Dropbox. Dropbox and Google Drive, they are competing products in a certain way because they both offer the ability to store files online. I like Dropbox a little bit better because it has a client for Linux, whereas Google Drive, at least last time I checked, still did not have a Linux native client where I can easily synchronize my files, with the cloud storage. Google Drive also offers applications. We just looked at the word processor. It kind of resembles WordPad in Windows, and also earlier versions of Microsoft Word, which is very simple and does not have the ribbon design. There are several differences. In the case of using Google Documents to create a Word document, to create a document using a word processor, you only need a web browser. You don't need anything else. Okay, as long as you have an operating system and a web browser, you have your word processor, you have your spreadsheet, you have all the applications that are offered by Google. Yep.
It says no software input. Installed on my computer.
That is correct.
And you can just download it.
No, it's not downloaded. If you're running the application remotely in the cloud.
It seems so simple.
It is. Well, from the user's perspective, it is. As long as you have internet connection, you can do it. So I just said that, there's no software to install except for a browser. And as far as I know, Google Documents can work with just about any browser: Internet Explorer, Google Chrome itself, Firefox, Opera, Safari, and so on. So that means it doesn't matter which operating system you're using either. Okay, you can be using Windows, Linux, Mac OS 10. It's all the same. Yep.
From a business perspective, from business, doesn't it make? I'm sure these servers are really, really expensive. Does it make more sense instead of having it in the cloud, having the user download the software the way it was years ago? That way they don't incur the cost of purchasing the servers and maintaining it, and insurance and physical, just paying for all these expenses.
But you don't have to run your own server. You don't have to maintain your own server. See, there are different ways to do this. Okay, let me finish this part first, and then we'll address the question or the comment that you just made. Documents are now saved or stored in storage systems operated by Google, so it's no longer your own storage. Okay, your hard drive can crash all day long. It doesn't matter because it's not stored on your hard drive. Now, despite everything is done using a web browser and ActiveX is not involved, this word processor works just like in the installed word processor, as you have seen already. Screen updates are smooth, and the graphical user interface is like any basic word processors. It's pretty instantaneous and pretty responsive. Okay. Now let me go back to your comment. For those of you who want to do something like this, I want to run my own server and then have everything to be hosted on the server, and all the users only need to use a web browser to do it. I'm using this only as an example, so it's not the only product available. Okay, Amazon has what they call the AWS or Amazon Web Services. What this is to let you get into the cloud infrastructure for not a whole lot of money. Okay, in other words, let's say you want to. Okay, let me see if they have a little example here. Okay, what is AWS? Amazon Web Services offer a complete set of infrastructure and application services that enable you to run virtually everything in the cloud, from enterprise applications and big data projects to social games and mobile applications. In other words, instead of buying your own hardware, your own server, installing it at home or at the data center, and maintaining it physically yourself or paying somebody else to do the maintenance, you are renting resources from Amazon. Okay, so you create a virtual machine. Okay, remember what we talked about virtualization. So each server is called a virtual machine. You create the virtual machine using many possible ways to do it, and you upload it to Amazon, and then you can just run it remotely using Amazon hardware. Now, they will bill you based on how much processing resources you have to use, how much RAM you're using, how much storage you're using, how much bandwidth you're using, like network bandwidth, in terms of uploading and downloading. But they will charge you by the amount that you're using. So you're not paying a flat fee, like, okay, I have to pay $50 a month or $30 a month. If that month you're not doing anything, you pay $0. If in that month or in that particular day you're running some really super duty, heavy duty particle simulation software, then you pay $50 for that hour. Okay, so it's basically rental. Okay, it's computation rental. And this has everything to do with what we just talked about in terms of virtualization, because you are only responsible to maintain your virtual machine, but to run the virtual machine, in other words, okay, let me put it back into the analogy that we were using before. The mind is yours, but you're renting a body. Okay, so if your application requires a really big, strong, body, you can rent a big, strong body. If your mind only requires, something, it doesn't really require that much, physical power, You can rent something for less, okay, because you don't need all that processing power. Are there any questions about this technology? You can, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think my question wasn't clear, although this is nice to know. From the end user perspective, from a PC perspective,
Right.
business end, it would make more sense from the way I see it. You download the software, like instead of having your mail, Yahoo Mail or Google Mail on their server, you would have it on your PC, on your physical hard drive. You just download the software, store it there. That way, they save the money with the upkeep and the physical server maintenance.
I somewhat disagree with that, because if you download and maintain your own computer locally, what happens when you have a problem? In other words, what if, for whatever reason, your computer is infected by a virus? Your application cannot run anymore because your computer itself is infected.
You call customer service, that'd be cheaper than maintaining a server, I think. I don't know.
Nope, it's actually the other way around. Because you have to think about not just you, right? You have to think about hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of customers. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Okay, let's say I'm writing a client software, an email program that you download, install, and run on your own computer, okay? And just like any other application programs, there will be bugs and defects and stuff like that. Okay, so all of you, okay, 1 million people downloaded a particular faulty version of that particular software. Okay, they run into the same problem. They keep calling tech support. Okay, how many people do I need in a tech support department to deal with all these calls from 1 million customers? A lot, right? And how do I fix all these problems? Okay, now I have to put up a message, and send an email to all these people and say, guess what? The previous version of this software has a bug and it's causing your program to crash. I'm sorry about it. And here's a new version. You have to download it and and install it over the previous version. So 1 million people will be downloading and try to reinstall the application, and some will encounter problems and call up tech support. Right? Now, if you turn it around and use a cloud application, what do I have to do? Well, I still have to send that letter of apology because the original application that is running from the cloud is not working 100%. It's crashing, sometimes not doing it correctly. But once I have the fix, I just have to send that letter of apology, fix the version on the cloud side, and nothing is needed on your part. You don't have to do a single thing. It's already updated.
So from the corporation's bottom line, as far as the profit margin,
Yes.
they save more money by maintaining the information in the cloud versus...
Yes. Absolutely. There's no question about that. Because what if an end customer's computer breaks down? Okay, they have to reinstall the software, they have to somehow transfer all the software and all the data from one computer to another computer. If everything is in the cloud, they just go buy the next computer and and make sure the web browser works, and they're back in business. Yep.
I work for the Department of Interior, so the federal government has this, it's tens of thousands of people. They just got rid of Outlook as their email server went to Gmail, and they got to eliminate all this Outlook support stuff. It's all done through one office in Washington, D.C. now. If you've got any problems with your email or anything, it all goes through there, whereas before, every office, park service, reclamation, everybody had their own little section that dealt with just email and email servers for taking care of Outlook, and they got rid of all of that.
So it's all streamlined.
Yeah, it's all just one big thing it goes to, and then I guess they contract Google to take care of